Have you ever been sitting in church or in class and you're so tired, but you have to stay awake? Like you catch yourself nodding off, but you have to stay awake, and it's literally impossible. Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, I don't know how you feel about this feeling, but I hate it, and I'm very familiar with it. I went multiple nights throughout my junior year where I pulled all-nighters, as we all do sometimes, or I had very little amounts of sleep, and the next day I had to run on those very little amounts of sleep. Well, one night in particular, my mom came in my room and she was like, Olivia, are you okay? And woke me up. And I said, Mom, what are you talking about? She woke up to a loud thud. And I was like, oh no, Mom, I'm fine. Like, what are you talking about? And I went back to bed. And then the next morning, I wake up and I look in the mirror and I'm like, ugh, I have a headache. And I see this massive bump on my forehead. This was in result of me throwing myself out of bed and smacking myself on the ground. And I have had nightmares in the past and stuff. And my mom was like, this is getting out of hand. We got to talk to a doctor. We talked to different doctors. And one of the worst things possible is when there's something wrong with you and then you don't know how to fix it, or you don't know what's wrong with you, but there's something wrong with you. Well, we went to different doctors. One of the worst feelings is you go to a doctor and they don't know what's wrong with you. It's horrible. But finally, my mom decided to call the neurologist. The next day, my mom made me take off work and took me to the neurologist. I went to the neurologist and he said, we're going to run some tests on you. We're going to do an EEG. And I said, okay. And for any of you who don't know, an EEG is a test where they test the electrical activity in your brain. So basically, they hooked up all these wires to me and my brain and made me go to sleep. I woke up and they were taking all these wires off me and there was like bright lights and I was in a hospital bed. They directed me out into the waiting room with my parents and said, wait here. So then I was so anxious, right? I just had these tests. I'm looking back at my mom and then my dad and then at the door waiting for this doctor to come in. Finally, the doctor comes in and he says, we have your results. He said, Olivia, you have a rare form of nocturnal epilepsy. I said, okay. And I took that in, right? And I was like, wow. My first thought is like, there's something wrong with me. Like it's real. Like I'm not just this freak teenager that has nightmares like a toddler would have who throws herself out of bed. Like this makes sense. I have seizures in my sleep. That's why I throw myself out of bed and accidentally injure myself, right? I was feeling good about this information. And I felt good that I finally knew something was wrong with me. This story just taught me so much. I will never forget, having the medication and moving on and living with nocturnal epilepsy without having medication for so long taught me so many things about my life that I definitely wouldn't have realized, right? So, firstly, it taught me do not judge others because you really don't know what they're going through, right? I was judged so much for not going out socially as much, for never wanting to have a sleepover, for never being a big partier, everything like that, never socially going out as much, staying with my family and everything. People always thought it was so weird. But I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't explain. I couldn't have sleepovers. I had nocturnal epilepsy before I even knew what it was, right? And I think it just really taught me don't judge other people, right? Don't question why they answer things sometimes because they don't want to share. I don't want, everyone to know that I have nocturnal epilepsy. Right? So it really taught me do not judge others and everything. Secondly, it taught me having a pity party for yourself isn't going to get you anywhere in life. When you sit there and you feel sorry for yourself and you're like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me and this isn't fair. I don't deserve this. That's not going to get you anywhere further in life. And this really taught me this. Like, yes, this happened to me and I didn't get to sleep and it was horrible. And I had a lot of social things taken away from me. But I can't control that. You can't control all the bad things that happen to you, but you can control how you react to them. And that's what I had to do. I just all how I react. Lastly, if you do not ask for help, then it's not going to be granted to you. It's not going to be handed to you, just like how we're experiencing in college. You have to seek out help. It's not going to be handed to you. If I never asked for help, I would never be where I am today, and I might not even be on the road to recovery yet. This showed me through my journey with nocturnal epilepsy and experienced this horrible feeling of never being able to fall asleep and experiencing that horrible, like all the next day, like trying to be present and stuff. That got me where I am. And it showed me that I'm strong and we can overcome anything we put our minds to. And there was a time in my life that I thought I would never get to go to college, ever. Go to college and live away from home and stuff. So if I would have never, powered through and asked for help with my nocturnal epilepsy, I wouldn't be where I am today, enrolled at the U of A.